Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back to Wall Street Bullion. Our guest today is JP Cortez. JP is the executive director at Sound Money Defense League. Welcome back, JP.
Hey, Ivan, thank you for having me. Good to be back with you.
Yeah, it's great to have you back down speaking to the silver and gold community. What a time it is right now in precious metals. We're seeing some really exciting prices right now. Almost $37 breaking out. Just last week we were around the $35 mark. But what are your thoughts right now, JP? What are you seeing? Is this a breakout or is it a fake out or what's happening?
Well, I'm hopeful that this is the breakout that we've been waiting on for a long time. When we crested 35, I was expecting people to start taking profits, long-time holders to start pulling out some of this and selling some of their stock. But we're seeing the price continue to move up, and it's moving up along the same time as other assets. I saw that I think Bitcoin and some of the cryptos are moving up as well. So there's something going on. The markets are telling us something for sure, and gold and silver obviously are going to be the benefactors of geopolitics continuing to get hotter, American deficits continuing to grow larger and larger. This big, beautiful bill that's stuffed with deficits and spending is only going to be good for gold and silver long term.
Well, yeah, what are your thoughts on the big beautiful bill? Like they're trying to get rid of the debt ceiling indefinitely. They're adding 2.5 trillion dollars. Obviously, this is huge for precious metals, and it's very inflationary. But what are your thoughts, JP? Like getting down to it, you see Elon talking bad about it and doesn't want it to go through. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a very big problem when President Donald Trump is agreeing with Senator Elizabeth Warren. When they're agreeing on removing the debt ceiling, Trump so that he can install his will and spend as much as he wants or as he needs. And of course, Elizabeth Warren to do the same, but with her ideal version of America and whatever that looks like. As we know, the debt ceiling is there to restrict government, much like the many of the facets of the Constitution. They're there to protect the people from government. Of course, they restrain government, and it explains why these politicians don't necessarily like these things. You know, the big, beautiful bill here, much like virtually every budget that's passed over the last 150 years, is full of pork. It is full of wasteful spending. And the thing is, Republicans have been beating their chests and talking about how Doge is going to be great, and everyone likes to talk about how cuts are great and necessary and needed. But when it comes time, these congressmen, none of them actually want to vote for these cuts. None of them actually want to make the hard decisions and cut the things that are necessary so that America doesn't go bankrupt. That's
Right.
what Elon is talking about. That's what he's trying to prevent. And what can only be characterized as cowardice or spineless, these Congress people who have talked a big game about cutting and wanting to get involved with Doge. And when the time comes, they're all looking to stick their hands in the pie and get their cut. This is not sustainable. Will bankrupt the country if allowed to continue. And this is why sound money matters, both institutionally, so that a government is shackled and cannot grow outside of what it produces, but also individually, because a government that acts like this portends bad economic future. And the only way to insulate yourself is to adopt your own gold standard and to buy gold and silver and use sound money in that way.
Well, you look at Florida right now, recently in the past 2, 3 weeks, or maybe even a month, they came out and Ron and DeSantis came out and they declared gold and silver as legal tender. Can you speak on that? How many more states are there left in the U.S. Before we can actually get a full United States with gold and silver as legal tender? But what are your thoughts on Florida?
Well, the Florida bill is one of many. It was great to see Ron DeSantis sign this bill into law. Like I've told you before, in our opinion, that the Sound Money Defense League, the biggest impediment to people using gold and silver, to people readopting a gold and silver standard, is taxes. The friction of taxes makes it impossible for people to functionally use money. This bill that Florida just signed removes the taxes that existed on purchases. In Florida, if you bought less than $500 of metal at a time, they would charge you sales tax.
Wow.
So and if you bought more than that, there was no sales tax. So it was a very regressive policy, and good for the governor to sign that into law. There are also talks of, or rather the other parts of that bill. There's legal tender information in there. There's money transmitter stuff to make gold more transactional. That's something that other groups are working on, but it speaks to a larger sound money movement. This Florida bill that just was enacted into law is one of almost a dozen bills that have been enacted this year in the United States. This year, since January 2025, in the last 6 months, more than 35 states in the United States have considered sound money legislation, bills
Wow.
to remove taxes on precious metals, bills to reaffirm them as legal tender, to establish multi-million dollar depositories and gold reserves for the state. All of this stuff, gold and silver are reinserting themselves back into the American monetary system, certainly the monetary system of individuals. But now we're talking about things like the gold audit. We're talking about, Trump himself has talked about making sure the gold is there at a time where countries are trying to repatriate their gold. Germany's talking about getting their gold and taking it back home. So right now, the world is asking questions, and they're all attuned. They're all coming back into gold and silver because the value proposition is so strong. It's a politically neutral money. It is inflation proof. It is the longest standing historical monetary asset of all time. So obviously, gold and silver provide these benefits of restraining a government, of stability of money, long-term stable prices, and a buttress against a government, or a bulwark, excuse me, against a government that would otherwise grow its bureaucracy, that would otherwise grow, expand its military industrial complex.
Now you nailed it, JP. How many more states are there in the U.S. that still don't recognize silver and gold as legal tender? Is it just three, four states? How many more do you out on the top of your head?
On the legal tender issue, there are still quite a few. The biggest issue that we have taken, that the most states have acted on, is the sales tax on precious metals. As
Right.
of today, that number is 46 states that have ended that tax.
For the
The
for
number
the
of
taxes.
Right, right. For the taxes. On the legal tender side, I believe as of today, with the Florida bill, I believe it's eight or nine that have passed legislation, that have reaffirmed, that have said the Constitution says, Article 1, Section 10 says, the state shall make no thing but gold and silver a tender in the payment of debts. And we are reaffirming that constitutional role enshrined in America's founding documents. And we are saying that gold and silver are legal tender. Off the top of my head, Oklahoma has done it. Florida has done it. Idaho did it earlier this year. Alabama did it earlier this year. Louisiana did it last year. So this is becoming an ever popular symbolic bill and symbolic effort to get the state to recognize that there is a constitutional mandate that gold and silver are money, not paper, not fiat money, but gold and silver.
And now a message from our sponsor, Juggernaut Exploration.
One of the more exciting ones, I think, is Juggernaut. I know some people say, well, lightning can't strike twice, and but look, I think one of the things you got to reflect on is that some of the guys who work here at Juggernaut are some of the same geologists that basically found and have now advanced sherbet at Goliath, okay, over the past years. So they have a very different way of thinking about exploration in the Golden Triangle than most other geologists, okay? And they've gone out and they've identified what could be another sherbet type target here. And the size of these veins is absolutely jaw-dropping. My hunch is these guys are onto something pretty special.
The link in the description is right below for Juggernaut Exploration. Now back to the episode. I feel like it'll be so important once the other four states that don't have this that still have the sales tax on silver and gold. Once that mountain gets overtaken, and we have 50 states across 50 states that have no sales tax on the silver and gold. Then once they all start doing once they start getting the once they start recognizing it as sound money for silver and gold, I feel like that would be so incredible.
Mhm.
What are you guys working on right now? And also another question, just a quick one for you. What's happening with Fort Knox? Are you guys having any movement with Fort Knox with getting it passed through? Yeah, like what's happening with the bill?
On Friday, just this past Friday, Congressman Representative Thomas Massey from Kentucky reintroduced the Gold Reserve Transparency Act of 2025. This is a bill the Sound Money Defense League and Money Metals Exchange have been working on for years now, before with formerly Congressman Alex Mooney in
Okay.
2019 and 2021. We introduced a bill that called for a comprehensive audit of America's gold. This bill that Thomas Massey just introduced is the latest iteration of that. It calls for a full inventory of America's gold, a full audit and accounting. So, showing any encumbrances, any swaps, any leases that were placed on the gold. And this is a it's a bipartisan issue. You know, Republicans for a long time have been talking about how gold is great and honoring the Constitution. The White House, Donald Trump himself, has said that he wants to know if this gold is there. So he obviously supports a gold audit. And
Right.
on the left, you have Democrats who have been talking for a long time about the importance of transparency in institutions and the importance of auditing and making sure that institutions serve individuals and not big corporations. So this is the intersection of transparency and sound money in a way that both major political parties should be able to get behind. So we've introduced this bill with Thomas Massey. The goal now is to introduce a Senate side bill. There are obviously a bunch of good contenders in the Senate, potential people who would sponsor this bill, people like Rand Paul, for example, son of Ron Paul, who originally introduced a gold reserve, a gold audit bill many years ago when he was in Congress. Senator
Okay.
Mike Lee is another senator who's talked favorably about sound money and talked about needing to audit the gold. So getting a Senate side bill, and then from there pointing this grassroots fervor, you know, second maybe to audit the Fed. There is no louder chant that I'm hearing, that I'm seeing online, on Twitter, on YouTube, than people calling to audit the gold, audit
Yeah.
Fort Knox. So if we point this grassroots movement to the key points in the Senate and in the House, we can hopefully get a hearing. We'll hopefully get some answers to the very legitimate questions surrounding America's purported gold holdings.
Hello, my fellow silver and gold stacker. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the channel. Subscribe, please like the video, and also hit the notification bell. Keep stacking. Absolutely. Now, JP, before you go, I really want people to connect with you. I want them to find you. I'm going to put the links in the description below. But where can people find you, JP?
Thank you, Ivan. You can find me at Twitter. You can find me on Twitter or X at JP Cortez 27. You can find my organization at Sound Money Def. You can find us online, soundmoneydefense.org. We also publish the Sound Money Index every year. We rank all 50 states, so you can find exactly where your state ranks relative to other states in the country on their sound money policy laws. You can find that at moneymetals.com. Check out their website. And yeah, we'll be working on more legislation in the future. I actually have news. I can't quite announce it yet, but another state has recently enacted legislation that is now waiting on the governor. So in the next couple of days, I'll be announcing that there is another state, yet another one, that has
Wow.
passed sound money legislation this year. So all things point good for gold and silver. You know, last time we talked, Ivan, I said I'd see you at 4,000. The price isn't quite there yet, but gold has run a ton since then. And I'm looking forward to talking to you next time, where gold will be even closer to 4,000, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you never know, silver might hit $40 next time we
Yeah,
talk.
that's true.
Well, JP, thank you so much for coming down, speaking to the silver, the gold, the investing community. And I'll put the links in the description below for everyone to go check out. Please, everyone watching this, I highly recommend check out JP, check out their incredible work that they're doing for Sound Money. And as the market develops and as silver and gold develops, would really love to have you back on.
Thanks a lot, Ivan. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Talk to you soon.